Welcome, lovely to see you all here tonight. Particularly warm welcome to anyone for whom it's your first time here, either at the Buddhist Centre or here in this particular class. And a warm welcome to anyone who's on week 2 of the challenge. Anyone on week 2 of the challenge here? Great, well done, good stuff. Just getting back here it means you're still on the challenge. Whatever happened during the week, you might have had a really good week, or you might have had a really tricky week, but you're here. That keeps you kind of on the challenge, as it were. Yeah. So for those of you who aren't on the challenge, don't worry, you're still in the right room. And the challenge, I'll just say what the challenge is. The challenge is the meditation challenge, which is to meditate every day for 21 days. And come once a week here to the Buddhist Centre. So some people have taken that up for the new year, but we're doing that within this class. So don't worry if you're not on the challenge. This class will still work. Yeah, what's the other thing to say? Yeah, so on the challenge, what really that's about is it's challenging yourself to develop a regular practice. That's what people on the challenge are doing, really that's very significant to meditation, developing regularity. It's sort of the essence of what meditation is about, actually. So if you can challenge yourself to get into a rhythm, that's the thing to focus on. And that can take a bit to actually find that rhythm, can't it? There's a lot that can get in the way. But yeah, if you can focus on getting into a rhythm. And what we were touching on last week was how actually that means not worrying too much about whether you want to meditate or whether you don't want to meditate. Just see if you can establish that regular rhythm of daily practice. That's the focus. Don't worry about that feeling of, oh, I don't really want to do it. That's going to come and go. Yeah. So yeah, a certain amount of self-discipline is key, actually, to developing a regular meditation practice. It's just that's not enough alone. Self-discipline isn't enough alone. That actually you need to want to meditate also. Yeah. So there's an aspect of self-discipline which is really key. But actually, to meditate, we also need to want to meditate, and that keys us into our theme that we're exploring over the next 4 weeks. Which is a traditional Buddhist text called the Four Reminders. It goes back about 700 years, Tibetan teaching or set of reminders. Because what these reminders are about are really they're the conditions, the internal conditions for wanting to meditate, wanting to work on our minds, traditionally speaking, wanting to practice the Dharma. That's the sort of Buddhist term for kind of working on your mind and growing. Yeah. So this is what we've been exploring. Actually, what are the conditions for kind of wanting to meditate? Yeah. If you just wait for that to arise, you won't develop a regular meditation practice unless you're an extraordinary person. So you need that element of self-discipline, but actually that's not enough by itself. We need to actually want to meditate, because you can't just push your mind to engage in meditation. You actually need your mind, you need to be interested in meditation, to actually sustain a regular meditation practice. Some things you can just use self-discipline, you can't with meditation. So what that means in practice is, if you're trying to develop a regular meditation practice, don't be defined by whether you want to do it or not. Just get on the cushion. Yeah. At the same time, take note. If you're experiencing resistance, take note of that. Don't ignore it, because that may be indicating that you actually need to do something about it. And that's what this teaching of the reminders is about, that you can actually do something about wanting to meditate. Yeah, you can do something. And these reminders are one of the key teachings, key Buddhist teachings to help us with that, actually sort of developing that wanting to meditate. Yeah. So in a way, wanting to meditate, it arises independent upon certain conditions. Yeah. So we're looking at those conditions. And this first condition that we looked at last week is this reflection that human life is precious. Human life is precious. So if we're in touch with that, that can make a significant difference in terms of actually kind of wanting to meditate. Yeah. So this was our theme last week. I'm just very briefly kind of recapping, and then what we're going to do is we're going to dive in and do a decent length meditation in this first half. We'll do a metta bhavana, and then have a little bit of time just to hear from people, whether you're on the challenge or not, how you're getting on. So yeah, just to say a little bit more about the theme last week of the preciousness of human life. This is in the Buddhist tradition, the human realm. This is within the teaching of rebirth, within the teaching of kind of coursing through different lives. What's distinctive about the human realm is that you can grow. That's really what is kind of characteristic of the human realm. And that really is precious. It's a lovely word, precious. It contains value, real value, but also precariousness, fragility. So what's being said is that actually this truly human, fully human life of really trying to grow, it exists on a precarious set of conditions. It exists on a precarious set of conditions. Often we don't see that, but actually it's true. And you'll know that from, for example, trying to meditate, trying to learn to meditate. All sorts of things can wash in and just completely sideline your project of learning to meditate, can't they? Whatever it is, your work's suddenly very stressful, your partner's health collapses, all these conditions actually that support you to actually use the time, the precious time that you've got to learn to grow and work on your mind. It's actually relatively precarious. So one of the things we were doing last, or some of us did, on the challenge last week, was actually to develop take on a gratitude diary, just writing down every day 5 things that you're grateful for. And the point about this is that gratitude transforms our sort of valuing of our lives. It deepens it to actually seeing that our life and this chance to grow is precious, because with gratitude, you start to see, you start to become aware of the conditions. Gratitude is recognizing benefits given. Often we take them for granted. We might value them, but we don't really see, actually, this is precious. This has kind of been given, whether deliberately or not. There's so much in our life, isn't there, that's actually given. Just the order in society has been won, actually. And it's more precarious than we kind of realize. But those are the conditions, some of the conditions that enable us to actually be here tonight. Yeah, so it's gratitude that deepens our value. We value lots of things, don't we? But actually, do we realise that this opportunity here is precious? This chance to actually learn to work with our minds is precious. It exists on a precarious set of conditions. So that's what we were looking at last week, this first reminder of the preciousness of distinctively human life. So, yeah, gratitude, the element of gratitude just means that we actually attend to those precious conditions. We look after them in our lives, which can mean that we can sustain a regular meditation practice. It supports us to kind of want to value and also see that we need to look after the conditions. Yeah. Great. So this week, tonight, Dianita is going to take us in the second half into the second reminder, the second condition that can support you actually wanting to meditate. But as I say, what we'll do now is we'll do a good length metta bhavana practice. So if you want to start to get into your meditation posture. And you may, if you like, want to bring in gratitude as an aspect of how you engage in the practice. So as we're getting ready, just choosing the people you're going to put in the stages. So when you're ready, closing your eyes. And just taking the time to be here, to completely stop and allow yourself to catch up with yourself in this present moment. So feeling what's happening in this present moment. Feeling what it's like to be here in this place at the Buddhist Center, meditation night. The sounds around us. Particularly feeling the sensations of the body. Which bring us into the present moment. So let's see if we can just heighten our awareness of the sensations of the body in this present moment. Feeling the contact with the floor or the cushion or chair and your body. And see if you can just let go a bit, let the ground support you. Just enjoy that kind of reassuring sense of contact with the ground, the reliable ground. And then starting to feel the sensations in your belly and your chest. So how is your belly? Just see if you can tune into that a bit more. And your chest. Letting your shoulders fall away from your ears. And let your breath just be natural, relaxed. See if you can stay particularly with the sensations in the chest and belly. As the rib cage expands and drifts back. And if you can stay with direct sensations, just feeling what it's like to be alive here. And perhaps just reflecting with gratitude to your earlier self that's got you here tonight. Just appreciating the good decisions you've made, the things you've overcome to be here in this first stage of the Metta Bhavana. So as you're doing this, feeling the sensations in the body, particularly the heart center and the belly. So starting to get a sense of your chosen good friend. Feeling what's happening in the body as you do this. And then appreciating the benefits you receive in your friendship with this person. Careful not to lose all your awareness into your head, feeling what's happening in the heart center and the belly as you do this. So a bit harder to find points of gratitude, benefits received with the neutral person. So many neutral people benefit us. See if you can find points of gratitude for your chosen neutral person. And so not just thinking about them, but get a sense of them, a real tangible sense of them as a human being. Feeling what's going on in the body at the same time. And now more challenging, getting a sense of the difficult person. And seeing nonetheless if there's any elements to appreciate, even be grateful for. Staying in touch with your experience, in the body. So now bringing all the people so far together, and seeing if you can loosen that natural tendency to preference. Just feeling the humanness, yourself, the neutral person, your friend, your enemy. And then starting to feel the presence of the people around you with that loosened, opened heart. And broadening out at your own pace to more and more of the people in the world. And now just dropping any effort you're making and just sitting, letting your efforts made transform you. Great, so we've just got a little bit of time before we go for tea break, just to hear how you've got on, either with this practice we've just done, kind of focused on gratitude, can be an interesting way into metta, or if you're on the challenge, how you've got on, whether that be with a gratitude diary, that was one of the things that we were encouraging you to try, or just with developing a regular regular practice. It'd be really good to just explore that a bit, including if you completely face planted. That could be really, if you're bold enough to say it, that can be really interesting as well. Yeah. Hi, Nicole.
So I gave the gratitude journal a try.
Oh, did you? Great. Yeah.
I was quite surprised because one day, like, I didn't have a great day. So at the end of it, I was like, okay, but I'm going to write it down.
Big blank page.
Yeah, but then I kind of like made an effort and like tried to pick at least like one tiny thing. And after I had that one written down, it kind of became much easier. In the end, I was like, oh, I could go on with that. So, yeah.
I could go on. You
like with the list.
Yeah.
Of things I was grateful for.
Right.
So that was quite surprising.
Yeah, great. Yeah. It's really a good experience to have, isn't it? That we've sort of, even with a terrible day. That wasn't your word, was it? But with the your day goes really badly.
Paraphrasing.
Yeah. We're left with that sense, oh God, things went badly, and it's quite absolute, isn't it? Our feelings about life, us, our day, are often quite absolute. Terrible day, but actually, if you start to look, it's not quite like that. Life's not actually like that. There are things to appreciate. Yeah, great. So what particularly surprised you there?
That once I started looking for something to be grateful for, that there were like more things than I expected.
Yeah. So it wasn't just that was one. There was actually quite a lot.
No, I actually got like 5 or 6 in the end.
Right. Yeah. So just there was a lot more there than you thought initially.
Yeah. I just kind of like wasn't seeing them.
Yeah. We don't, do we? Yeah. That's really good. Thanks, Nicole. Yeah. Great. Anyone else have a go with a gratitude diary? No? Well, oh yeah, George, great. How did you get on?
It's all right. I just try and write sort of 3 to 5 things.
Yeah.
Before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to try to keep it going.
You want to keep it going? Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? It's not a difficult thing to do.
No.
But so it's having some sort of effect. Sounds like.
I mean, I don't know, but like it's funny because last week we were talking about it, and I've been reading a book that morning talking about research into the benefits of it.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a coincidence.
Yeah.
I definitely will keep it going.
Yeah.
It's hard to say if you feel something from it or not. But I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite subtle in a way, isn't it? Often, I find it is, but it's worth just sort of sticking at and seeing what sort of effect. Did you notice a cumulative effect, Nicole, or did you just? Was it more in the moment?
It got easier.
It got easier, right? Yeah.
Like maybe shifted my perspective a little bit towards the positive.
Yeah. Great. Hi, Sue.
Yeah, I did it, and I was just really grateful for this little book that somebody had given me. Really sparkling and pink and sequined, and there's 3 pens, and one of the pens didn't work. But of course, it's not going to work looking like this. Automatically, there's kind of whinging tone came in there. So it was interesting because what you were talking about last week was quite big. Like, I've got water, I've got electricity and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just actually, I found it quite nice to focus on big things, but also on the little things.
Oh yeah.
Like somebody gave me a Maltesers bar today.
Right.
Just that kind of little thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't do it every day.
Hmm.
Because I kind of forgot, but it was easy to do, which I was quite surprised at.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually here, it's big. It's quite hard.
So again, usually.
Usually when you come here on a course, it's a big thing that you've got to do.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to change my life like that.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, it was quite a nice, cute thing to do.
Yeah.
But
Great.
I'm still most excited about this book. This pink sequin.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So why particularly the book?
I don't know, it's just so beautiful. But I probably would have thought if I didn't have a gratitude book, I would have thought, oh my God, what I'm going to do now, give it to Aeneas.
Right.
So you sort of
Yeah.
kept it
Yeah. Yeah.
and probably gifted it and not probably gifted it to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just so over the top.
Yeah, I can relate to that though. I think sometimes it's the things that I overlook. I suppose that's what we're talking about, isn't it? That we tend to take things for granted or overlook them. And actually a subtle shift of perspective. And it's almost that shift of perspective in itself is the teaching, isn't it? That actually our perspective is naturally sort of biased towards taking things for granted, and actually our life can be a whole lot richer just for that shift of perspective. Yeah.
I was actually looking at some poems I wrote about 5 years ago. I was been on a mindfulness course. I thought, why is that talking about this everyday stuff? It's quite amazing, this poetry.
Oh yeah.
Just connection with different people.
Oh,
And it was from the mindfulness course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Thanks, Sue. Brilliant. Okay. Well, we've come to the tea break. So let's go for a tea, and we'll hear more from Dianita in the second half. Which? What's that?
Really? Seriously?
See what? You're pointing, but see what?
Tell me about the
two
two
candles.
candles.
Oh, the two different heights. Oh, look at that. No, I haven't seen that. So obvious when you see it.
Maybe you could have some kind of symbolic spiritual significance.
Yeah.
This might Alan have tried that one with someone else. I saw that soon.
Did you?
I was amused more than annoyed, I would say. Yeah. I'm not going to fix it.
You're going to fix it. Hello, nice to see you.
Yeah. Get the dust off.
No, it was an odd coincidence because I tried to every day
Because he is totally different topics.
a moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
And
tried
we
to
did
get back
today.
into practice.
Oh yeah.
Meditate
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
And then I got
You need to
through
look
the
at this because this is every Tuesday, like Thursday.
yeah.
Oh good.
So I probably shan't go to it later. I'm only halfway. But
Yeah, but when it certainly does help to be, it's such a big room.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
lovely.
yeah. Well, you can still book on that if you want to. You know, go on the website, book on.
Well, I did, because I've read it and imagined that I'd have to.
Right.
And so I did.
Right.
It's
Yeah, good.
It's like somebody.
it was nice to, especially in the shrine room.
Good. Good. Yeah,
This
yeah.
is the first. You know over there, Gilbert?
Oye,
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I wanna ask you
Because I take very deep inside, very, very deep, and this concentrate and the sounds. And the sounds is give us some.
good idea to get some.
Yeah, but that, how close it doesn't become too close. Or you prefer to?
No, I'm happy either way.
Yeah.
is it finished? 9.
30.
No way. They said no, 9:15. 9:15. Shh, 9:30 and I'm sleeping.
It's allowed. As long as you're not.
I start at 5:30 now. So what happened? The thing is, she said she like more here Thursday. She's more practical. Yeah, it's a practical. It's more practical to do meditation. Instance, like on Tuesday, what we're doing is more like knowledge is and practical. My knowledge is not very much like talking, transforming your life. They just showed you how to do it. Is it possible as well? But you need more practical.
Yeah. Switch.
We're going to speak with boss.
Oh, me?
Boss. Go to when did you beat the boss? You know a boss. Okay. Mm. Mm. Don't know coming tomorrow.
Good.
For this translation. So rush crash come out of the rush.
People, it's not wrong to you. People need to sleep, to work.
I feel from the lashes. She's coming to UK next month. I want to talk to her to see. Next year I go to try. Well, try. Really try. You gotta go.
1 year.
So we better to talk to this best place and she knows everything. I didn't need that much.
I see.
Okay. To UK. Lithuania. Croatian, Spanish, Portugal, Italy, let me see, Norway, Lithuania, and then give me Lithuania. It's very far. I need to. It's very far. You need to go in summer because in summertime it's nice there, very, very good country. Oh yes, you can see any of the pictures you want. They're all beautiful. You close your eyes and then you see this beautiful. Okay, but you start to concentrate. But I'm gonna let it count. From 1 to 4. Breathe in 1 to 10. Oh, breathe 1. You got breathe over. Breathe now. Count. Breathe. Let me see what they're talking about. Should be 2 please. Wrong. Attention, 2 and it's not cute, it's like they show you the way. This is good. You know where he's got that in Canada. They say over here to get there. How much? I don't know how much. That was not that I know this. It's not right. So that's found. This is like no. My energy. I can't feel it. Yeah. This part is not very big. This one is the start that happened. This power of meditation. See, this is not meditation. This is trying for me. You saw that? This is energy everywhere. Now, this is when they go to body and bring it. Okay? Which one you want? Like this one. Like this one. With the tiger. With the tiger. And this one that you put. And that's fine. The part of the white one, the part of the black. China. I said, when you look evil. Okay, fine. Oh. Now I was sleeping the 6th. I thought the last weekend under the below and I sleep on the 6th. Like but it's had something right. It's very comfortable. That one, I brought another. Oh, wait. The rain is gone. I know that. I only went once to recover. No.
You do that.
Is that all of us back?
Maybe one more person.
Okay. I think we might start anyway, because we've got quite a topic with a second reminder. So Arthur Siddy talked about the first reminder last week and did a recap just now. The first reminder being this human life is precious. I'm going to talk a bit about the second reminder, which is impermanence and death, which is not as bleak as it sounds. But I suppose impermanence is the sort of the central teaching of Buddhism. You know, I think if you distilled one teaching of the Dharma to one thing, it'd be impermanence. It pops up in all the various, it's in the four reminders, it's in the 3 marks of conditioned existence. Any Buddha's teaching, sort of impermanence is in there and at the core of it. And I sometimes find it a bit easy to get a bit blasé about impermanence. It's like, I know that, obviously. All things change, you know, tick. So the second reminder goes quite a bit further. It's much more direct. It says, all things change, but the only thing we can be certain of is that we will die. You know, death is certain, but the time of our death is uncertain. And it finishes with, at the time of death, only the Dharma, the teaching of the Buddha, is of use. So I'll come back to that later. So death is a big part of the second reminder, reminding us to turn our mind to the fact that we will die. And again, I sometimes think we we know that. You know, I'm pretty sure that almost everyone in this room has had some experience of death or someone dying. You know, some of us might not yet have. You know, sometimes think I was lucky. I was past 30 until somebody close to me died, or somebody actually, it really hit home. So my grandparents died when I was in my 20s. But because I moved from Germany to here, and they were in Germany, and they were old, and I was sad, but still they just sort of quietly disappeared. You know, the sort of the first time I realized what it means that somebody dies was when one of my best friends died, and it was more the manner of her death that was difficult. So, and it's, I think people say, I haven't experienced it, people say it's a very strong experience to be present when someone dies. You know, they say it's quite a privilege to witness that. I haven't witnessed it. My mum died this time last year, and I wasn't there. Again, she was in Germany, I was here. But even my dad, he was married to her for 60 years, I think. He said, this Christmas just gone, he says, you know, it's only just now I'm getting used to the fact she's not coming back. You know, I'm getting used to the fact that this is how it is now. So I think in our minds, and again, we are sort of aware of that death exists, but to feel it in our heart mind is really difficult. And what the reminder also says, you know, this is still other people. You know, it's a sort of, I don't know if it's a paraphrased saying, if I say death happens to other people, because what the second reminder says, it actually is, it's written in the first person. So it says, I will die. The time of my death is uncertain. And again, sometimes I think about my own death, but it's not me who will die. You know, me, how I am here and now, it's this other person of who I will be in the future. You know, probably a very old person, I'm hoping, who dies, but this realization that I could walk out of here, get on my bike, and you know, get hit by a car. You know, so I mean, I think evolution has probably made it so we are not aware of our own death, because otherwise we couldn't function. You know, we probably couldn't live. We would never take risks. We wouldn't do anything. So, which is why this reminder is there. So, but it's not about, I mean, the Tibetans have got all sorts of weird and wonderful meditations of, like, you know, becoming aware of your own death and decaying bodies, which is not what this, it's a Tibetan teaching, but this is not what this is about. What it is about is life. You know, I think what it says, because this is the last bit of the reminder, if we really acted as if we could die tomorrow, what would we do? You know, this is this incentive to practice. You know, what are we doing with our lives? You know, if we were really aware that we could die at any moment, so we could go all out hedonistic, because, well, you know, if I'm going to die tomorrow, I'm just going to eat as much cake as I want, you know, like burn as much petrol as I want, you know, to sort of drink, just go all out mental. Or this is probably a slight exaggeration, but what the four reminders also assume, because this is the last reminder, at the time of death, only the Dharma will be of use. So it assumes that we have a refuge to turn to, you know, which is the teachings of the Buddha. So if we would realize the reminder that we could die tomorrow, you know, what we need to do is practice. It says, at the time of death, the only thing we can take with us is the core of our being, how much love, fearlessness, and insight we have. and how much of that we have is based on how much we have practiced in life. So it's an interplay with the first reminder as well. You know, I think if we realize that we could die tomorrow, then this human life becomes much more precious. This time we have to practice becomes precious. And we sort of want to turn to the Dharma and to practicing, so we can practice compassion, fearlessness, insight. Which in a nutshell is what the second reminder is about. I had a few more things written down, but I thought I'd also read out, because what we'll do in a minute is practice. We'll go back to the formulation of the reminder, the impermanence, because what we can do and what we'll ask you to do as well over the next week is practicing this awareness of impermanence. And so we're not asking you to sit and think about, you know, our own deaths, your own deaths, but it's what we can do in meditation is becoming aware. Well, we can do it in everyday life, becoming aware of things changing. You know, what are the sensations in our body? Our breath is changing all the time. In meditation, we can become aware of sounds, we can become aware of feelings in our body and how they change. Quite often in meditation, I can go through a sequence of feeling nothing at all, suddenly my leg falling asleep, having an unbearable itch, somebody doing some annoying coughing, you know, so becoming aware all these things are rising and falling away, which is what we can practice with. But I was going to read the 4 reminders because it sounds quite bleak to say, I will die, the time of my death is uncertain. At the time of death, the only thing that is of use is the Dharma. But in this text is formulated quite beautifully, so I just wanted to read that as well. And this is, I've never read the original text of the 4 reminders, but this is how it's been, I suppose, condensed by Visancha, one of sort of our senior order members. He says, this human birth is precious, an opportunity to awaken, but this body is impermanent. Ready or not, one day I shall die. So this life I must know as the tiny splash of a raindrop, a thing of beauty that disappears even as it comes into being. And then he talks about the second and the third reminder. And then he finishes, therefore I recall my heart's longing for freedom and resolve to make use of every day and night to realize it. So this is the we've been talking about why we're doing these 4 reminders, because they help us meditate. You know, they remind us what we are trying to do. You know, these mind turnings, what are we turning our mind to? Are we spending our time before we die watching television or scrolling through our phones, or which, you know, there's a time and place. But, you know, what could we do if we turned our mind towards meditation and reflection? Yeah, I mean, after my mum died, I did eat a lot of cake and watched a lot of television because you know it's death is a painful thing, but I like how this reminder, you know, flips it towards what will we do with our lives. You know, this wake up call of meditating, of just practicing, having the refuge of the Dharma to turn to rather than the refuge of the TV. For me, it's the approval of others. Just Artisity talked about having lots of coffees. I tend to have lots of coffees just so I don't have to, you know, sit at home sometimes. So it's turning our minds to the jewel we have in our life that will be of use at the time of death, our practice. So I think we'll do a meditation where we'll practice the awareness of the impermanence of our experience, which is what I said earlier. We've got some time, so it's going to be quite an open form of meditation. So it won't be the mindfulness of breathing or the metta bhavana, but I'll guide you through it. But we'll be sitting and looking at the sensations in our body, our breathing, what we can hear in our thoughts and see how they arise and how they change, how that sort of shows the impermanence of our experience, the changingness of everything all the time. And I'll say a little bit more about the home practice after that. But yeah, I think if you're not already, we'll get ready, we'll get into the meditation. Yeah, if you settle down into a posture that's comfortable, but that allows you to stay alert and becoming aware of our body, the shape of our body taking space in this room, and the weight of our body on the cushion and on the chair. Feeling the gravity of the earth. Keeping us in place. And the muscles of our body holding us upright. And feeling into the sensations of the body as we're slowly settling down. There's probably quite a bit of energy in our body, in our hearts, thoughts in our mind from the tea break. Maybe we can notice if that is slowly settling and shifting. Can we check in with our breathing? Is our breath, is our breathing the same as when we first started meditating? In a way, each in-breath and out-breath is new, is different. Can we simply observe our breath? And as our body and our breath settles, and we're getting used to sitting in meditation, are we noticing any sensations in our body? It could be the fabric of the blanket, or feeling the back of our chair against our back. Or a tingling that's arising. And don't go looking for something. That's just a neutral feeling, that's fine. But keeping our awareness on the noticing. And the changing of our experience. Becoming aware of sounds. There's the sound of the heating or the air conditioning in the background. If we notice that sound, we can probably hear people breathing or shifting. Or our own stomach rumbling. And simply noticing the sound. Or the breath. Or the bodily sensation. Without judgment. Or getting hooked onto it. So if you can observe it arising, changing, and maybe disappearing again. And there's our body, our breath, sounds, and then there's our thoughts. We can't stop having thoughts. But are we able to watch them arise and then let them go? Like clouds in a blue sky. If our mind's like at the blue sky, can we see a thought arising like a cloud and letting it pass? With no attachment and no judgment. can we still feel our body? Are there any new bodily sensations? Or a sensation that has passed? Or a sensation we can observe and then let go? If there's emotions arising, you might be irritable by now, or elated, or calm and neutral. Can we notice feelings arising and changing? If your mind's got hooked onto a thought, can you notice it? Be kind to yourself and let it go. My experience now is not the same it was a moment ago. always coming back to our breath and our body as an anchor. Every breath is new and different. What feels different in our body towards the end of the meditation than before? And at the end of the meditation, also becoming aware not just of ourselves, our own body, our own experience. Maybe slowly becoming aware of everybody else in the room. Having a change in focus from ourselves to the wider world. My leg fell asleep during that meditation. Very acutely aware of that. So we've got some time, a little bit of time. I feel I've sort of raced you through death and impermanence, but I don't know if anybody wants to say anything about the meditation, about the experience of changingness, how that was. If it was useful, or any thoughts anyone might have.
I found it really tough. because like with the mindfulness of breathing, I found time went really slow. Like the mindfulness of breathing, you've got like the counting to distract you, and that was just, embodying your breath. It was really hard.
Yeah, no, it's good you say that. Yeah, what I found helpful, like Alta City said something, is staying interested in your experience. Like what is it that's going on without searching for it. But yeah, no, I can imagine it's tough because you're left by yourself in a way.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to it's like that, almost like that base level of experience that you're always trying to distract yourself from, escape from in television or whatever, YouTube or whatever, eating, whatever it is. Just that almost like a base level of discomfort almost with experience.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for saying that.
I feel quite confronted by my just need to do. Just like, at least then, like you're kind of saying in mindfulness breathing and that, but now you've got something clear to do. And yeah, I was finding those more open kind of meditations that, I just get confronted with that part of myself. I'm like, oh no, I'm just trying to be really active in anything, so I'm trying to not try. And just tie myself up in knots. There was like a lot of, just energy that wasn't pleasant a lot of the time. It was a lot of just sort of, intense experience. And I was just really struck by how much I could just notice, okay, it's all changing. And could tell myself that and sort of observe things changing, but I really didn't believe it.
Okay. Yeah.
I really didn't believe that like that kind of unpleasantness would change or shift, or like, no, it's absolute. This is my life now, which we can just, it's easy to do when it's going well as well.
Yeah.
Because there's kind of those different levels of granularity with impermanence, right? There's like the very infinitesimal in the moment, everything is absolutely changing, but then there's kind of this current mental state that's changing as well, both in that sense and the fact that it will pass. Yeah, so that there's something in your direct experience which sometimes can be there forever. And then sometimes the intellectual understanding that it will change can also be useful. Yeah. Thanks. It's hard to believe emotionally sometimes. Yeah.
I thought the idea you brought up of each breath not being the same as the previous one, like there's sort of like a uniqueness to each one. I thought that was a really useful insight, right? Because you sort of have this idea that there are these things that are constant because you're not looking at them closely enough, right? And once you examine them, you think you find this kind of unique moment that won't return. And, that state of mind you had at the time also won't return. And, everything's a completely new and unique moment as it arises. I don't know.
Absolutely, yeah. And we breathe all the time. So, yeah. Thank you. Go for it.
I always find it quite interesting when you're not telling stories about what you're feeling. It's a completely different experience. Right? When you're not thinking about your foot as your foot, an object with some degree of permanence, it's just a load of fizzing sensations that are just coming and going. And if you can get into that, it's a very odd sensation. And because the whole time we're telling stories about, it's the body moving around, and actually it's not even just sitting there, it's just stuff is happening. I find it very odd.
Is there, I find it quite a release, in a way, being able to let go and just observing the changing. So I don't know if that was in there or if it was,
I mean, it's a completely different experience. In a way, I mean, if I can, when I can keep that up for 20 minutes or something, it's a very relaxing experience afterwards. It feels quite hard work while you're doing it, though. Because I can find it very overwhelming at times. It's just too much. It's just one thing after another.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I suppose, and that overwhelm will change, won't it? Sometimes almost just keeping it really simple. Yeah, knowing that will go. Thank you. Yeah, so this can be, if you want to make it part of your practice over the next week, in a way, you can take it into your meditation practice, or it's just something you can just remain aware of. It's when you're going for a walk, what sensations, the sensations of walking, the sensations of breathing. I sometimes find it helpful, it's the awareness practice of, setting yourself a little awareness reminder bell, and then just spending a minute going, what is my experience and how has it changed, or how is it changing? Just sort of see if you find moments or activities where you can think back to that sort of sense of things change, things are impermanent, the changingness of our experience simply. And if you want to, keep up the gratitude diary, do that as well. See how that's changing the experience. But yeah, that's us. So we'll have the third reminder next week. Karma and no, it's not rebirth. Artisiddhi will tell you all about that. Yeah, hopefully you go well over the next week, and see how you go. There's still the Zoom meditations, and one thing I was gonna say, if you want to know more about death, come to Vadaka's series on a Tuesday night, because he's exploring what happens when we die, and a lot of the themes of how do we live come up there as well.
Who has come back from this to say how it is? I'm not silly question, but I'm just saying, I just saw the title, I thought, what?
What is that? Oh, I see. What happens when we die?
Yeah,
Or...
he sounds like he knows about it. Nobody's come back.
Go and find out. He knows quite a lot.
No, because I don't believe anybody knows what happens.
I don't think anybody knows, no, but it is interesting about. His talks are on YouTube as well. No, it is fascinating.
I'm a matter of fact.